Is it harder now to find love? Because there's lots of stats that say we're having less sex, we're lonelier than ever before. Um, Interestingly, this is maybe an adjacent point, but I was looking at Bumble share price. I love the founder of Bumble, the CEO, is a really, really good friend of mine. I think she's amazing.
Whitney.
Whitney, yeah, I think she is amazing.
Has she come on?
She has. And I know her, and she's a wonderful human being. But when I was looking at the Bumble share price, it painted a really interesting picture, because then you overlay that with some of these other dating apps, and you see, I mean, this is the...
Well, she's had to come back.
She's just come back in yet to turn the company around. And actually, interestingly, I saw her do an interview, which is one of these ones here. And in the interview, she says she's going to revamp Bumble to make it not about finding love with others, but falling in love with yourself.
Yeah.
And there's also going to be this dating marketplace, but her first objective is going to be get people to love themselves through coaching and all these kinds of things on the app, and then find a partner.
Sure, yes. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, we're all broken records, right? I don't mean that as like we're all broken souls. Like, your customers will never love you until your employees love you first. You'll never find somebody to love you unless you love yourself first. And look at failed relationships, right? Where there's so much tension. It's somebody's lack of self-love that contributes to the failing of that relationship. I mean, I have a dear friend who's going through it right now. She just can't find love, and but it's because she doesn't love herself, and she knows that it's a hard thing to do. So if Bumble can crack that code, more power to them. But this is the problem with a lot of these things. They're common knowledge. We just don't do them. Everybody knows how to be healthy. Everybody knows how to exercise. Everybody knows what eating right means. Don't do it, because wrong is easier and right takes effort. Everybody knows what we're supposed to do in a relationship. Everybody knows that we're supposed to hold space. Everybody knows philosophically what we're supposed to do, but we don't do it. By the way, it's the reason why most people, I've written all these lovely books, and it's the reason why most companies don't use them. It's because my work is like exercise, which is I can tell you if you want to get into shape, hey Simon, how do I get into shape? Easy. Every single day, work out for 20 minutes. Every single day. Okay? Can I take the occasional day off? Yes, but not too many. Work out every single day, and 100% of you will get into shape. I know it, 100%. When? I don't know, and neither does any doctor. And that's my work. Yes, I can profoundly help you find purpose with Start With Why. I can help you build trust on a team with Leaders at Last. I can help you embrace the infinite mindset and have this incredible calm in life. And the reason most companies won't do it, this is a book for innovation right here. You want to innovate? Infinite game. The reason most companies won't do it is because they need it to happen by the end of the quarter or the end of the financial year. It may or may not. I have no clue. And I cannot predict that it will or won't. It'll work 100%. I just don't know when. And the problem is, goes right back to the beginning of this conversation, we're all so obsessed with the output, we're all so obsessed with the result, that we've completely ignored the value of the journey. Yeah. And people would rather hit the number at the end of the year than build a good, strong company. Think about it, right? If I meet another entrepreneur, when I say, so tell me about your company, like, we're hyper-growth. We're a hyper-growth company, we're a gazelle, right? Like, show me, then I always say the same thing, because I'm an ass. Can you please give me one article from a reputable publication, just one, and I don't care the publication, that says that building a hypergrowth company is good for business? Just one. And the answer is you can't, because it's not. And so why we're so obsessed with high-speed growth? It's because our investors want us to be obsessed with high-speed growth, right? Or our egos want us to be obsessed with high-speed growth, right? And if high-speed growth happens by accident, that happens for many of the unicorns, right? It was an accident. I think building a good company is better than building a fast company. I think building a good relationship is better than building a fast relationship. And we're also obsessed with speed and immediate results, present company included. I've had to learn this the hard way, that I think there's something joyful and beautiful about slowing down, saying thank you, reprioritizing friends. It's okay. I mean, by the way, cell phones, but before cell phones, we went to work and then we went home. And we didn't do work at home because we couldn't do work at home. Yeah. Because we didn't have computers at home and we didn't have cell phones or people to call us. And so you did work at work and then you left. And I remember when cell phones started, I remember the advertising. AT&T had this campaign that they showed people working on the beach. you know, with their computers. I mean, this is like the future, right? And they said now, what was the tagline? It was really funny. It's like, now you can leave work, right? And that's not what happened. Work came with us. We never left work. Work came with us wherever. This is the problem with cell phones and computers and the internet, which is we do not leave work. Work is with us in our pocket every day, every vacation, every evening, every weekend.
As you said that, I thought, do you know what? That's so interesting, because that kind of means that friction creates freedom in that regard, if you know what I'm saying. So the friction of not being able to go home and tap away on my computer all night meant that I had a certain level of freedom because I had to kind of wait for things, right? So in the same context with AI coming along, now I can build software throughout the weekend, whether the agency's working or not. Now I can build anything I want at any time using the phone in my pocket. So the friction has come down again. And therefore the pressure to do it now, because I can do it now, goes up. And this is kind of maybe what I was alluding to earlier on in the, you know, when I was saying about how you're going to get more stressed and more overwhelmed and
that's good.
More isolated.
That's so good. That's so right. We're taking work with us. I mean, it's like, you know, everybody has a story of like where the battery ran out on their phone and they ended up having the best night.
Yeah.
Or the internet went out at work and they actually got more done. Like you hear these stories all the time, you know, that when we're forced not to take work with us, forced, it takes a bit of time sometimes to relax, but it's always better because you learn to stop worrying, stop checking, you know, and you just, one of the things I did, I can't delete Instagram completely as much as I'd love to, but I hid it. So, you know, you can do that on iPhone. Yeah. You can take it off it's gone, it's hidden. Yep. It says hide app. And then when you go into the search, you know, when you go search it, suggest, I took it off the suggestions, which most people don't even know you can do that. So I took it off the suggestions. So when I go to, because I realized what I was doing is I'm like, when I'm bored, I just pick up my phone and I just like, and then I see Instagram and I just click it like a zombie, and then I'm done for an hour, you know? So I hid it. So the only time I go to Instagram is when I have to go to it and I have to type in INST, you know, and then it pops up. And my usage of Instagram has plummeted. Plummeted. Because it has to be intentional. And the problem with most social media is it's unintentional.
One of the big things, talking about community, Instagram, AI, that I think a lot about is the value of in real life community going to rise? And I think we might be on the precipice of the community revolution. I say this because when I think about what's going to remain in a world where creating things goes to zero, like when, you know, once upon a time, if you made a social network, or if you built an app, or if you built a movie or a media company or a podcast, that was half of the job. And the other half of the job was like getting it out there in the world.
Yeah.
And so now the people that have the other half of the job, which hasn't gone to zero, now have this tremendous advantage because we can all create, but we can't all distribute. And so having community and building and fostering community, I think now is one of the things that remains. What are the values of a community? Like, how do I build a community?
Well, I have a definition of community, and I think we said it before, which is the community is a group of people who agree to grow together.
Interesting.
Community is a group of people who agree to grow together. And I believe friends are at least two people who agree to grow together.
In marketing, this is the absolute obsession at the moment. Community, run clubs and brands becoming...
It's offline is the new online, right? Offline's the new black. Like there's a company called Clicks, and it was started by she's a talented entrepreneur, and she was in college and she suffered severe depression and loneliness and literally struggled, didn't know how to make friends. And I'll just call her by her name. Her name's Alix. But her company Clicks, she started it to solve her own problem, right? My favorite kind of company. And basically to help her friends at school, quote unquote friends, people at school, make friends. And she did it by taking people offline and taking their phones away. And she would come up with reasons to come together, whether it was running or this or that. Just like, it didn't matter what the reason was. Just a reason to come. That made you, that when you saw the ad hung up on a piece of paper at college, you know, that you'd be like, I like horror movies, whatever. I like baking. I'll go to that, right? Just a trick. And then basically and so she's built this business predominantly for young people, but it's available to anyone. But she's built this business to just bring people together, to meet people without phones, offline. And and there's a great irony in it. She has an app that she wants people not to be on, you know?
And what is it that holds a community together? Is it so like we want to improve together, so we have to have some kind of shared value that we want to improve on, presumably. It's like a community of runners. They're trying to get fit together, or they're trying to improve their health
I don't think it
together.
matters. I mean, it's like it's shared interests is a way to start a relationship, right? Comic-Con, Nerdvana, Burning Man, all of these larger than life events, big and small, going to the football. It's like you're everybody's friend when you wear the right colors. You see people on the tube who's going to the same game. They're wearing the same jersey.
Your friends, yeah.
Your friends, right? So I think common interest is a trick. It's a way of getting people to come together, and it's a nice place to start because at least conversation is easy, right? You know at least one thing about this person that you have in common with them.
Do you need a shared goal in a community, do you think? Thinking, because in the football analogy, we have a shared goal.
Oh yeah, you want to win. I think that's a very good question. You have a shared goal.
Even in a relationship?
Yeah, I think so. That seems to make sense.
The reason why I'm asking these questions is I am building businesses and brands, and I know that community is one of the most important things that everyone building a brand or business is thinking about at the moment. So there's a big difference between having an audience, which is what you might have on like a podcast or something, and having a community. And I'm, as a brand leader and as an entrepreneur, I'm trying to shift from having an audience over to having a community. And that's about like relationships and
shared values.
Shared values.
I mean, I like to think the people who really like my work, not the ones who just like passively like it, but the ones who really like my work. Like if somebody says, I love Start With Why, or I live my life by the infinite game, that it says something about who they are and how they see the world, and that we share the same values. And that because I am, you know me, I'm an idealist. And I'm consistent in the way I talk about things from the day I started to now, and won't ever change. And I think that's the value of values. And the problem with the modern world we live in and the pressures that people face is money and fame and all the rest of it, and influencer status. I think it sometimes forces us to question our values or walk away from them. I was invited to a group of, they called it a mastermind group, where there's a bunch of folks like me, author speakers, who wanted to, this is what they told me, come together based on shared goals, shared values, how we can work together to improve the world together. And I'm like, oh, sign me up, I'm in, right? So I went, and we sat around, and you know who some of these people are, and we sat around a room, and they spent all of their time talking about how they can share their lists with each other and how they can cross-promote with each other, and what margins are you getting on this? And I'm like, you guys are, and I spoke up, I was like, you guys are just talking about making more money. I thought we came here to like do common good together. They didn't invite me back. But the point is like the money and the fame is seductive. This is Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, which is you start off as the reluctant hero, and you get called to your mission for some reason. And at some point in your journey, there will be something to seduce you away from your mission, money or power. Luke Skywalker was nearly seduced away from the vision, from the journey. Like this is what the hero has to go through. And do you have the friends who will slap you around and keep you in line and say, no, you signed up for this. You have to stay true to what you're doing? Because I think none of us have the courage or the strength to stay true to our cause by ourselves. Very few of us. Mm-hmm. We need to have at least one person who believes in us to give us the strength to stick to it, because the temptation, you and I have both at various times gone through it. Like when you start making money, and you start making money for something you didn't expect, like I never expected to have a career from any of this stuff, right? It happened by accident. And you get to the point where you start thinking you're more important than you are. Do they know who I am? No, get over yourself, and you start becoming seduced. And I think the seduction, when we turn on social media and we watch the Kardashian model, and like you have people who pursue influence without knowledge or skill, like those two buckets. They have the other three buckets, but they don't have the first two buckets. And it is temporary for some, or unfulfilling for others. And, The funny thing about that job, I went to a concert, and there was this woman who walked down the aisle, and some guy was taking pictures of her as she was posing, and the person next to me goes, "She's a famous influencer." And I said, "You mean she's a freelance employee of an algorithm?" And somebody who chooses to be an influencer, that's what you are. You are a freelance employee of an algorithm. And the minute they change the algorithm, you might be out of business.
You just lost like 170 followers.
I mean, maybe.
You just lost like 170 blue ticks.
But, like, I don't have a problem with the concept of being an influencer if you bring something of value. The only time I have a problem with it is if you make it about you. And I have to get more of everything. In the early days of influencing, there was a young couple that were trying to get followers, and they would do crazier and crazier things. And so what they did is he took a big book, a dictionary, I think it was, and he put it over his chest, and she took a gun and shot it at the book, thinking that the book would stop the bullet. And she killed him. She killed him on camera, right? Now, she admitted afterwards, he's dead, but she admitted afterwards they were doing it to do bigger and crazier stunts to get more and more followers because the financial pressures of driving at those YouTube views was overwhelming. And so it's an extreme case, obviously, of the how we will lose our minds trying to gain followers. And I don't mind if people gain followers by giving, but to gain followers by taking, look at me, look at me, look at me, versus I have something that I think this will help you. And like, I don't have a problem with, it's the input, right? It's the intention. Anyway, I sound like an old man complaining about you kids these days and you were influencers.
Simon, I printed off some graphs which I think are absolutely fascinating and dovetail into everything you've said today, but also into your work generally. So I'm just going to give you all of these to give you a second to look through them. And I want to get your read and interpretation on them.
Okay. Adults' lack of meaning and purpose, overall lonely. Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
To me, that didn't make sense. I couldn't understand how if someone is low in purpose, then they are lonelier.
I mean, it just makes sense that when you have lack of purpose, the likelihood that loneliness comes nearby. Like, I think family gives meaning, friends give meaning. Like, you feel like you're there for someone else. But if you don't know why you're showing up every day, I think it feels like a lonely existence, like you feel like you're searching. When you have a sense of purpose, it gives you a mechanism to meet people. It gives you a mechanism to make decisions. It gives you a mechanism to talk about yourself in a way that's quite inspiring to others. You know, when you say your why and somebody says, "So what do?" You say, "I wake up every single day to inspire people to do what inspires them. What do you do?" You know, like I do, and I think it's not the thing that makes you less lonely. I think it's a mechanism to make you less lonely.
Just as you said that why you just gave, it becomes a magnet for me.
Yeah.
Because then I know who your people are and I know what to talk to you about, and it throws down this bridge for me to walk across.
Yeah. Versus, I'm a dentist.
Or I don't know, which is even worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that doesn't seem unusual. Distribution of people feeling lonely worldwide by gender. So it's about 50-50.
Mm. Are you surprised by that? For some reason, I thought men were more lonely.
Not at all lonely looks like women do better. I would think, you thought men were more lonely?
I thought men would be more lonely.
I also don't know what the age groups are. Because I want to know what age are they starting at? Is it 18? I guess if we just put that all aside, I mean, women being slightly less lonely than men, I think makes sense, because I think women are probably better at making friends. Maybe I have that wrong. What else we got here? Adults' mental health ratings. 68% of people who have depression are lonely, and 67% of people who have anxiety are lonely.
Mm. Do you think good mental health is a foundation for being not lonely, I guess?
No. I think having somebody who cares about you is a foundation for not being lonely. And when you're in a period of strained mental fitness, it definitely can manifest as loneliness and anxiety. And the best way to manage through that period is to lean on the people who you know love you. That will help. So I don't think you can separate the two. So does it affect it? Of course it affects it. Can it make you withdraw from your friends? Of course it can. So I don't think you can separate the two.
I read a couple of years ago that when people are lonely, they fall into a state of self-preservation because of some evolutionary sort of mechanism, which meant that if we were alone on the Serengeti in Africa, we would sleep worse, we'd become more selfish, we'd become more angry, our cortisol levels would be up, which means more inflammation. And this idea of self-preservation basically means that lonely people become more selfish, more bitter, more angry. And that's not conducive, ironically, with finding more friends, but it is conducive with survival. It is conducive with being able to fend for yourself.
It's more conducive survival as an individual.
Yeah.
So like if you're in a deserted island and you're lonely and all those things and the cortisol rises and you become better at
being on edge,
which is a survival mechanism, right? But if you live in a community with other people, then it is counterproductive because we are social animals and I need you to help me and you need to help me. So if we live in tribe together and I'm the selfish asshole, you're not going to wake me and alert me to danger tonight. You're just going to leave me. So it's a though I think it's 100% true, in a social environment, it becomes counterproductive. And I think you're right. When somebody feels lonely, they do go into survival and they become paranoid and they think everybody's out to get them. But the problem is you don't live on a desert island, and that's one of the reasons I think it's dangerous.
We're increasingly living on islands. The islands are different now. They're four walls in a white city, and it's so funny that so many of my friends are using this word loneliness. When 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't something that I heard frequently from adults, but now it seems to be also common. In fact, my masseuse yesterday was saying to me that she's lonely. And this is a woman that lives in Los Angeles, has people around her, but she's lonely.
Yeah.
And I remember when she went and because we had a conversation and I texted her and said, oh, thank you for being so open and stuff. I was thinking about like what advice I could give her. She's got no friends. She's in Los Angeles. She's desperate for friends. She doesn't have a partner anymore because she's had a divorce. What advice do you give someone? Is it take more risks?
So it's easy to give the obvious advice, like you got to put yourself out there, right? But when you're in a period of loneliness and stress, it's hard to find that energy and that risk taking, right? Especially when you're down on yourself. We've all been there. I've definitely been there. But I think for me, what I've learned is to put myself second, meaning don't worry, don't try and solve my problem, but do I have somebody else who's lonely that I can help? Like, how do I help somebody else who's dealing with their loneliness? And it's the act of service that is so valuable. If you guys are talking and she has many clients and somebody else and her willing to admit that I'm lonely, that one of her clients might say, me too. Like her ability to admit her loneliness out loud creates a safe environment for somebody else to admit the same. And then once she learns that they're lonely, now she can say, tell me about it. And then she can talk them through it and hold space for them. And her ability to help somebody else manage or understand their own loneliness will help her.
So interesting, because one of the hallmarks of her personality, if you met this person, something she says to me every single time she comes over for the treatment, is that she doesn't like sharing herself with people because she thinks if people get to know her, they'll change. So literally, she's been my masseuse for many years now. And
if people get to know her, they will change?
She's scared about people knowing her. She's scared about people knowing the details of her life, so she guards it all. Wow. And it took me, and I'm someone that just asks way too many questions of every stranger I meet. It took me like 20 sessions just to figure out she had a family. I had no idea she had 2 kids. And when I asked her, her body language went like this. Yes, I have kids. And I was like, why are you so guarded with your information? Well, if people know who I really am and they know more about me, then they'll change, or they may not like me anymore, or they'll think differently about me, so I just keep it to myself.
But I mean, this is the age-old problem. I mean, it's everything you said when people who are driven only by the thing that they want, versus the givers. And this is the age-old problem, which is I'm going to keep my walls up high. I never want to love anybody because then I'll get hurt. Yes. And then you just end up lonely and hurt. And this goes back to struggle, which is look. You and I both know that if somebody who chooses to go on an entrepreneurial venture or adventure, the statistics bear out that over 90% of all new businesses will fail in the first 3 years, right? What idiot would ever start a business, right? You have to be compelled by something else to make you do something with overwhelming statistical chance of failure, right? And it's opening yourself up to failure that is the thing that makes it work, you know? At least for a small percentage.
It does.
But it's the same for love, which is, or a relationship or friendship, which is, it absolutely comes with risk. There's nothing risk-free. Like, yeah, some of them might change. Yes. Some of them might not like you for that. Yes. And the odds are equal that somebody will fall in love with you and love you and like you and think you're the best thing and think you're amazing. And so if you can't take the risk, you can't get the reward. If you don't play the lottery, you don't win the jackpot. If you aren't willing to I'm not telling you to open up and tell everybody your deepest, darkest secrets. But if you're not willing to give somebody anything to latch onto, to be like, if you can't give them anything to say, me too, then it's going to be a hard road. Or it'll take somebody to chip away at you 20 times, before you open up. But the fact that you did and she got it to open up a little bit, she could make a friend in you.
Now she's fully open.
Yeah.
And we've been through everything. I know where she wants her house to be.
Well, there you go. You see?
That thing down
so you have to point out to her that this friendship and that you know so much and that she feels so safe with you only happened because you chipped away at her and she finally, you wore her down and she opened up. And it can happen in two directions, right? Which is sometimes we have to take the little risk to just tell somebody a little something about ourselves to find something. Or sometimes it's somebody who's so curious about us that they chip away and chip away and chip away and chip away and chip away until we give up and open up and that person becomes a friend, And so one of the reasons you should be grateful for the friendship is you kept trying. You could have just tried it 3 times and be like, forget it, I'll just lie here quietly and have a massage, So, yeah, I mean, all of this stuff comes with risk.
I could see it in her face, though. I could see...
But you're also curious.
Yeah, I could see this.
She lucked out because you're curious about people.
Is this what connection is? When you said me too, finding something to say me too with someone, is that the essence of what connection is?
I mean, it can mean, it could be values, it could be interests, it could be many things. But I think yes, this is, if you want to go political, one of the problems in our politics is both sides think they're right and both sides think the other side is wrong. Mm-hmm. And neither side is willing to try to even understand what the other person's point of view is without thinking them an idiot or thinking them wrong or thinking them sheeple. And the ability to say, can you tell me more about how you came to your beliefs? I'm genuinely curious. And to not agree or disagree, but to be curious, to be an investigator, And I've done this with people who have polar opposite political views with me. At some point, we will get to a level of me just chipping away, trying to understand that they will say something that I'm like, 100% I agree with that. Mm. And then from that point on, there's a simple validation, not agreement, but a validation that your opinions do matter and we do have common ground that we can build from there. And on that validation, they become vastly more open to my point of view also and curious to my point of view also. Mm. And so, yeah, the person, the ability to listen and be curious, even if you disagree, is one of the most underappreciated skills on the planet. And yeah, I think when you find the ability to say, I agree, then you can find community, and maybe that's what we need to heal this country, or most of the countries in the world right now, which is one group or one person to just be curious rather than agree or disagree.
There's something about relationships here as well, because my girlfriend you've met my partner, and she's very spiritual, but also, like all of us, she's emotional. So sometimes in those interactions, when we sit down and there's a problem and we spend the first 60 minutes to 90 minutes trying to figure out what the problem is, it doesn't sound very logical to me. And one of the things that I think sort of is adjacent to what you're saying is my job in that moment actually isn't to pass through truth and to correct truth. It is to sit and let someone
get it out. So you and I have the same problem.
Yeah, we do.
Which is we live above our necks.
Yeah.
And you and I both have the same struggle, which is to learn to live below our necks, right? Like you and I are head people and we have to learn to be more heart, right? And I want to understand everything, explain everything, evaluate everything, analyze everything. And when I come to my emotions, I'll give you an analysis. When it comes to your emotions, I'll give you an analysis. And so I have to learn to be like, I feel this and that's it. And I feel the same way. It's funny because I'm good at it with art. I always tell people, you don't have to understand art. I'll take you to a museum, I'll take you to a gallery. And if you look at a piece, and I know you're intimidated to come because you don't understand art or you don't understand music, whatever it is. And all you need to do, this is the only rule is, do you like it? I do. Why? I don't know, I just like it. That's it, you're done. You're done. I don't like it. Why? I don't know, I just don't like it. Great. Excellent. And now we're going to look at 4, 5, 6, 10 pieces that you like, and I'm going to see 4, 5, 6, 10 pieces that you don't like. And I'd be like, you like all of the Impressionists, and you hate all the old masters. So why don't we just go see more Impressionists? And so when your girlfriend opens up to you, you don't have to agree, you don't have to disagree. You just have to, and you and I both have to learn to stop thinking and to just like feel something. When somebody says, where do you feel it? I'm like, what? That's the stupidest question I've ever heard. Where do I feel it? And they've literally, like, I had somebody take me on this journey and she goes, you told me an emotion you have, Simon. You told me an emotion. Yes. Where do you feel it? In your body, where do you feel it? And I'm sitting there going, you've got to be kidding me, But all right, we'll go through this. All right. And she says, so you said you feel X. I'm like, yes. All right, where in your body did you have some sort of reaction? Here. What happened? It got a little tighter in my chest. Okay. And I went on this journey with my friend, that's my friend Bea Voce. She's incredible. And she took me on this journey and she does repair with couples and she's just incredible. And she helped me recognize that my body does react to my feelings. Tension in my shoulders, heavier breathing in my chest, clenching my fists, like my body does react. Mm-hmm. And so I'm learning to experience feelings beneath my neck when my inclination is to do everything above the neck.
It's a hard skill.
Oh my God, it's hard. And
especially
so I have
for men.
And so when you meet spiritual people, they are all below the neck. And we think it's stupid, but they recognize that we have an ability to feel because we want to think about everything. And so we both have a lot to learn from each other, which is thinking about things has value. Not all the time. And so your girlfriend, and because I know her ability to know her body when she has feelings, I think is way more, has a lot of value to you and to me.
I think it's like the biggest opportunity that I have to form better relationships.
Yeah.